everybody, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new, I'm glad you could join us. And if you like the video that you're about to see, hit the like button or subscribe to my channel for any other projects that I might be coming up with in the future. So today we're going to be working on this electric scooter that I was able to pick up at a yard sale for very cheap. We're going to break it open, see what we need to get things going again, because obviously it was cheap because it doesn't run, and I want to get it running again and clean it up and have a little fun toy to play with and hopefully make a little more power. So I think it's an early 2000s BladeZ scooter that's an XTR comp. I believe they're lead acid batteries. It's pretty heavy. So I think those things are dead, and we're going to convert this thing to a lithium ion batteries to make it a little bit lighter, get a little more power, and be able to go a little further range than originally that these things had, and see what else things we might need to be able to purchase to get this working again. So I was able to get this up on the workbench and remove the tread plate off of there. It was a couple of screws and nuts that basically hold that on, and then also remove the cover for the motor so I can get access to that. And then I pulled the batteries out. Obviously I tried getting it to charge overnight to see if those would take a charge, but these just need to be recycled. I noticed there's a little bit of surface rust in here, so I'll do a cleanup once over after I get this thing running and making sure that it works properly, and give it a once over to make it nice and clean and shiny again, and give it new life. But for right now, I'm just trying to figure out what I need. I just took a shop, one of my drill batteries, and plugged it into the leads. So for just testing purposes, I tried running it to the battery to see if I could get the throttle assembly to work and get this motor running, and it would not work. So I don't know if it's the throttle assembly itself or there's something wrong with this controller. So I ended up disconnecting the motor cables themselves and running that directly to the battery just to see if the motor is functional, because if the motor's not functional, then I need to get a new motor. I was able to test it, and we do get power to it. It does rotate it, so I don't think that there's anything wrong with the motor itself. This is a 24 volt motor. It's a 450 watt motor. I'm looking at the specs here. It does have RPMs, but I can't see like the maximum RPM that's on there. But in any case, we're going to go ahead and use this motor, and I am going to overvolt the scooter. Since this is 24 volt, I've seen some people do 36, and I've also seen people do 48 volts. I think I want to go 48 volts. I want to try to get the maximum speed that I can get out of it. Worried about heat by adding, basically doubling the voltage to this motor. Obviously that's not something that, most people recommend, but we're going to upvolt it so that we can get a little more speed out of it, have a little more fun with it. If I melt it, I melt it. I'm not really worried about it. I'll just get another motor. But for right now, I think we're just going to go ahead and take some measurements for what size battery I need to get, what will fit in here, and then also the controller. Let's see, take a rough measurement. It looks like I got about 12 inches of space, so safely, let's say 11 and a half for the length. And the height, we don't want it to go past, I would say 3 3/4 of an inch. And here, 3 3/4. So 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 by 11 and a half is my maximum length that I want. The width of this area overall, the maximum is 4 1/2. So I need to make sure that my controller is no longer than that, so that I can make it fit. And this is 3 inches. So 4.5 by 3 inches. So let's go ahead and continue the disassembly part. I want to go ahead and remove the motor, and then I know that I need to remove the throttle cable and all that's associated with that, so that we can put on the new throttle cable that I ordered. I think for now this is good. We're not gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna keep this or not. I may not. I may just yank it all out of there, dependent upon the parts that I order. But really the next step is for me to go ahead and kind of clean this thing all up and get it ready to put back together. So I was able to disassemble the motor so that I can get to these ends, so I can drill a couple holes in them to create some air to circulate through the motor itself and hopefully keep it somewhat cool. So I've got this cover that I've been drilling some holes on, and I just showing you how I'm going about doing it. Just putting it in the vise and working my way around. I'm leaving it not drilled at the top, so I just didn't want anything to, like, if water got down in there, obviously it can get into this one too, but I'm just trying to keep this from being exposed to a lot of elements there and that, you know, if it does get in there, it'll drip down to the bottom and leak out. But I'm hoping that water gets in there. I'm not going to be riding it when it's wet out. So, and then I also drilled a couple of holes on the ends as well, just to give some air on all that. So hopefully that helps. And now drill a couple of holes in this to give it a little bit of air to circulate. Alright, now it's just a matter of getting all these metal shavings out of here before I reassemble everything. So these are the magnets that go in there, and this screws into place with 2 screws, and these little spring-loaded magnets need to go out, and then this slides in. Now, I don't have any idea how I'm going to be able to get that back into place, but if I'm going to get this motor to work, I need to be able to get that to slide in. I thought about getting it on there like this first and then putting it down into place, but once I get this into place, I won't be able to put these screws down in there to tighten it down. So I'm kind of at a loss. I figure I gotta get these in here like this first, and then figure out some way to get these spring-loaded magnets to stay in place while I slide that down into place. I don't know. We're gonna try and figure it out, but at this point I know that I definitely need to screw these screws into place, so that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do. And then we'll figure out the rest afterwards. I'm sure somebody will let me know an easy way to do this, but or maybe there's some special tool to I can get them all in there, but keeping them there is going to be the key. I don't know how to do that. tape it, but I don't think tape's going to hold it. It's just going to want to peel right off. And then just pull the tape off after I get it in there, but... It's not too bad. Alright, let's try taping it. Maybe that'll work. Just pull it out when I'm done, I guess. Okay, I can get it in there, but I don't know how I'm going to get it out of there. That's one. Let's see if I can get the other one. Make that work. Okay, that's in there. Now, let's see if we can get this sucker out one by one without... That's one. Oh, nuts. That was not easy. I don't recommend anybody doing that. Alright, I got it on there, so at least it's there. Now it's a matter of putting this one back into place. So now that we got it all together, you can see the holes that I drilled, and hopefully that gives us a little bit of circulation of air. I don't know if that's going to help or not, but can't hurt, I guess. So anyway, that was a real bear. I don't recommend messing with that. Maybe there's a better way to get those little contacts to stay spread out, but this worked. It just took a long time. So I'm back at it, and I got my box of goodies that I ordered. So first thing that I ordered was a throttle cable and some matching handlebar on the other side. This throttle cable actually has a voltmeter, so it tells you how many volts you have, so it'll let me know when the battery's starting to get low. It also has a a lock and switch. I thought that was a good idea, and it was pretty inexpensive. So let's take a look at this. Just opening it up. You could get different color handles. There was blue and red and just brushed aluminum. I got the red just because I thought it looked kind of neat, and the black and red will look kind of nice on there. And then this is a grip, and then you have your throttle, which is spring loaded. I did notice a couple of reviews on Amazon that somebody had said that there wasn't a spring loaded, that and so I was kind of concerned about buying it, but I was like, well, for, you know, the amount of money that it was, I think it was like maybe $14 or $15. I was like, let's just see, because I liked that it had the voltmeter, the battery display up there, and it was just kind of compact and built into it. I thought I'd give it a shot and see if it is, but it is spring loaded, so for folks that were wondering, it is. And then, you know, just the matching handlebar on the other side. So let's just see what else we got here. So this is the controller, and I got a 48 volt compatible controller, and this is for a brushed motor. So you need to kind of confirm whether the controller is for a brushless motor or a brushed motor. This one is up to 1,000 watts. And it's for DC 48 volts. Usually the brushless motors will have 3 cables going to your motor, but this one just has 2, and that's how you kind of know whether or not you got a brush motor or not. And the controller gives you a diagram of everything. So for right now, we just want to go ahead and install this. So pretty basic and self-explanatory. We're just going to run this cable down, fish it down this side. Actually, you know what? I probably just need a fish tape. See if we can make that come out without too much problem. I hope we can. Pull it and push it at the same time so we don't tear anything. Just have it come out. There we go. Just tighten this down. Give it a good snug. And this is just rubber, so probably just fits on there. But the best way to do that is to get some hairspray. So let me get some hairspray, slide it on, because the hairspray will kind of give it a lubrication to get it on there. But then once that hairspray dries, it's like stuck on for good. So I'm mocking up the battery and the controller. So I got a 48 volt 12 amp hour battery, and it fits nicely once I put the padding in there, so it'll be really good. And this is a pretty good sized battery, so this is plenty to, you know, run around, and we'll test how far it will go, but I think it'll be sufficient for what I'm looking to do. The controller fits really well. I have to figure out a mounting point. I might use the existing screw holes that are there. For right now, I'm just wanting to mock up the wiring. This is the wire that's coming from the battery. This is the plug to charge. I'm thinking, because this is pretty short and it won't go up to the little plug-in box that we had before, I'll probably just drill a hole right here in this little aluminum plate that's riveted so that I can charge it when I need to right there. I was mocking up the automatic breaker that's here. I'm using the existing one, so I was just figuring out how to make it work with the controller. The plugs are a little bit different, so what I ended up doing was, since this was the male plugs and this one to the actual motor itself, that's supposed to go to the motor itself, was the female, I actually snipped it off because this doesn't match. This is the one that was off of the old controller, so this goes to the motor, but the pattern is different. So I'm just going to reuse the one from the old controller because the actual motor is the same. So I'm just going to reuse this plug, and I'm going to splice it in right here. That way the motor connects. And then I just used this one from the one that came off of here to be able to plug into the controller right there. This is my negative to the battery. I plug that in. This is my positive to the breaker, and then from the breaker back into the controller. That way I have some overload protection on that. So the next step is to go ahead and splice these two together. Now I just need to run the throttle cable and the on-off switch and the brake light cable, and we should be getting into business, and we can kind of test it out. So I finished putting the wires through the frame and was able to attach the handlebar back onto the pivot area. And so I basically took the existing length of the cables that I had previously, and I snipped off the old connectors because none of these connectors match up. And I just used some male and female connectors that I had. So this was my existing cable for the brake. On this controller, there were two lines that go out to the brake. So if you had front brakes and rear brakes, you'd make connections to both of these. But since I only have a front set of brakes, I'm going to be using these as my connectors. I am assuming the red is hot, so I'm going to put that with yellow and make my connection that way. And I'm going to put the ground with the white. The throttle cable that I have has basically 5 wires, and the 5 wires are, one is the yellow wire is your battery indicator. The blue is your switch, so that's going to be able to turn the switch on and off, so that gives you power. And then your black, green, and red are your throttle cables. So this is negative, this is positive, and then this is going to be your variable line. And so this typically will match up with a 3 cable connection point on your controller. And this was my 3 connection points. So the wires are exactly the same color. So we just match those up. So green to green, red to red, black to black for those. So we're going to make those connections. And now this is this red and blue wire, which was connected together. This is your power lock. So this kind of is your switched power. So red is your positive battery, and then this one is your is going to complete the circuit. So you want to actually put blue to blue, and then we want the yellow going to the red, and that will complete the circuit so that it'll switch the controller on and off, and it'll also switch the power on and off. with the key. And the rest of this stuff I'm not using because I don't have a need for it. The only other connections that we need to make is actually connecting to the motor itself. For my motor, I had a set of wires that was a safety. Don't need this any longer because there is no connection point to it. It's just not going to get used, so I'm just leaving it off. But this white and blue goes to the white and blue of this because I've already spliced in the old plug to the new controller, so that gets connected there. And then this gets connected to the battery. Making a connection there, and then we connect to the battery itself. And we should have, well, we won't have power until I get it keyed on, but it should be powered up. Let's go ahead and switch on the power and see if we can so we should be powered up, and I should be seeing, so we got 51.5 volts, and we should get some power from the motor if we, excellent. So that is working. So I was able to get the battery in place, and I cut a piece of rubber mat to put on the bottom side because there's holes in the bottom, and I wanted to kind of protect it just from vibration. And I also cut a little piece to be able to put on top so that it's kind of protected when I put the tread plate on top of it. And then I drilled a little hole for the charging port, and I put some electrical tape just to kind of keep it protected, but it's fine. And I had a little rubber grommet that I drilled a hole through to get it to stay. I tucked my breaker in there, and all I need to do is connect, and I haven't connected it up, so it's basically ready to go. The last thing I need to do is just go ahead and mount the wheel. I had the chain sitting in some mineral spirits last night, and it cleaned up really nice. So all I need to do is just kind of mount that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into place. Hopefully it will make it around this gear set. This is the original gear set. We're going to see how it does with the 48 volts to see how much faster this is going to spin. But potentially I could get another gear with more teeth for this, or get a smaller size gear for the wheel. So it just really depends on what's available. But we're going to stick with what we got for right now and see how it does. And if we need to get a different gear set to get us a little more power, we will. But there we go. We should be able to get this to go on. Okay, now that fits. Now we just want to have a little bit of we want tension, but not too much tension on it. You don't want it so tight that it's binding the chain. So we just need to attach this. Loosen this up so we can get it on there. Now we just need to tighten this up and slowly adjust that chain. Ooh. Thing likes the spark. I don't know if I like that. Alright, let's give it a shot and see what it does. Cover this because it's throwing grease all over the place. But we're getting some speed out of it, I can tell you that. I'm only putting 4 bolts into it just to test it out. I'll put the other ones in later. I'm excited to give it a shot, see what happens. I think we're ready. I think it's just a matter of taking it outside and seeing what we get. Just to kind of recap what we did is we essentially disassembled the whole thing, painted the frame, got rid of the rust that was there, polished all the bolts for the most part, and all the chrome areas to kind of get those kind of shined up a little bit better than they were, and replaced the throttle and the grips, changed out the wiring, changed out the controller on the inside, added a 48 volt 12 amp hour lithium ion battery, drilled some air relief holes for the motor, so everything else is pretty much the same, but hopefully this this upgrade to a 48 volt will give me some performance that I'm looking for. I've got my little magnetized holder here, and we're going to put my phone up there and get the speedometer going to see how fast I can get this thing to go. Hopefully you can see that, and the sun's not too bright, but we're going to go ahead and give it a shot. I'm right at 50 volts right now. It's hard to see in the sun. Hopefully you can see that. I'm right at 50 volts. So we're going to go ahead and power it up, put the kickstand up. Let's see what we get. Whoa! Whoa! Oh my God, this thing's super fast. It's got a lot of pull. Just hoping my phone doesn't fly off. Here we go. Let's see what we get. I don't believe it. But it pulls. This thing pulls like crazy. It just keeps pulling. Here we go. We're going speed. Pretty consistent. 28, 29. This thing is so fast. Wow. So my max speed was 31 miles an hour. My average was 13. But that was going uphill, and I got a pretty hilly neighborhood. So that's pretty good. Let's see how this thing feels. I mean, it's a little warm, but it's not, you know, overly warm. I mean, it's hot to the touch, but... So, just want to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching if you stuck it out this long. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. This was a lot of fun. A little bit different of a project for me, but certainly if you're looking at doing a, you know, wanting to play around with a scooter and maybe upgrade it to a lithium-ion battery from the lead-acid batteries, this is definitely a way to go. Now, I will say that the battery pack was pretty expensive. You can get away with a little bit cheaper battery pack, but you're definitely going to be spending over $100 or more for a battery pack for a 48-volt one. If you want something like that for a 10 amp hour or a 12 amp hour. Mine was right around $189, almost $200, and with all the parts, everything said and done, I was close to 240 bucks, which is a little pricey, you know, but I didn't really spend anything on this scooter. I mean, it was very inexpensive for me. So with that a little bit of investment, definitely you couldn't get a scooter for that amount of money that goes this fast. So I am really pleased with it. You know, if you have any questions about what I did, leave them in the comments below. Happy to answer your questions. Hey, if you like this video, please hit the like button or subscribe to my channel, and I will update you on any new projects that I'm doing. So until next time, thanks for watching, everybody.